That's all he can do. He has a checkbook, he decides what he wants, or she decides what they want to do.
Do you see a sea change there? I mean, are people coming around to this idea of let's do it once and do it properly?
Yes, unquestionably yes. We see, picking up a point that you and I were discussing at breakfast time today, we see, very interestingly, a return to the appreciation of craft. And by that I mean the ability of a constructor, whether it's a bit of furniture or a building, to put things together in a wonderful way. Craft-based concepts that can engage our clients, particularly at the top end of the market. And the other interesting thing we see in terms of technology is many of our clients have now rejected the picture-perfect, totally realistic CGI illustration of their potential building. Many of them are coming back to watercolour perspectives.
Which leads me nicely to ask you.
Ain't that wonderful?
Are you still sketching? Are you still drawing by hand?
Yeah, I can't do it any other way.
We had Karen Rashid on as a keynote speaker a few years ago, and he was moaning about the fact that on planes, for example, he doesn't see anybody drawing anymore. No one draws. No one gets a pen and paper.
Architects aren't taught to draw anymore. They're not. How absurd is that? You can't. If I'm sitting with my client at lunch or anywhere and over a cup of coffee and I want to explain an idea, I've got a limited ability, I can pick up my pen, I can turn over a piece of paper and I can sketch it. I cannot get a laptop and kind of work the program up and get it out there and then change it because can we change that bit? And I can say, yes, we can do that. To not teach student architects to draw is insane. But that's an old fogey talking.
Longevity, I mean, we're looking here at replacement cycles normally in a hotel sort of 5 to 7 years. A hotel that you're designing today, Montenegro, that master plan, when you started to think about that, proposing it to your client, that was 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. You're only on starting phase 2 to build the hotel now. Yeah. So you're already looking at sort of 4 or 5, 7 years before the hotel opens. You're telling me longevity of materials, you're looking at things even further in the future.
We're trying to, yeah.
How do you do that? I mean, I would suggest that this is almost impossible to be sort of trying to pre-guess what customer expectations might be. Certainly where technology is. Technology today, that thing didn't exist 10 years ago. Yeah. In 10 years' time, there's going to be something completely different. How do you future-proof the hotels?
Oh, what a wonderful phrase, future-proof. Again, I don't know what that means. You just use the best common sense you can. The hotel, our hotels, the hotel that we're doing in Montenegro, which you've selected as an example, I'm as convinced as I can be that the plan and the organisation of that hotel will stand the test of time, and it won't have to be changed next year because the architect got it wrong.
Well, I very much hope it doesn't have to get changed next year. Yeah. But are you suggesting then a sort of flexibility of design to allow adaptations to the design for different uses?
I'm not sure I am. I don't really understand the thrust of the question.
Flexibility design, for example, if you, I know the Four Seasons, the way you try to reorganise the suite arrangement there is that they can then sell the suites either 3-bedroom suites, 2-bedroom suites, or just a one-bed suite.
Yeah.
That sort of flexibility.
Well, that comes with the business we do. That's in our DNA to do that.
But then, are you not sort of leaving yourself open there to be sort of making a design that's fit for everything, but not a perfect fit for anything?
No.
Lobby spaces.
Yeah.
If we look up here at the lobby, how that's changing and customers' expectations of how they might use that space. We spend an awful lot of time talking about guest rooms and guest room design, and yet many people do not want to be in their guest room whilst they're working anymore. They don't need a desk space necessarily because they want to be in the lobby seeing what's going on and what's happening. Where do you see that going?
Hotel lobbies are becoming Starbucks. They're becoming mini conference rooms, they're becoming mini offices, they're becoming anything you want to do in them. They become. Allow pleasant space and pleasant volume, well lit, well ventilated, views if you have them. Space is a wonderful determinant of quality, and lobbies will be. The lobbies are kind of plazas and forums. So people meet, greet. They're fortunately being furnished in a very different manner to the way they were in the past. There's a greater simplicity of furnishing. The lobby upstairs, I think, is a very good example. I was commenting to Guy before we came down here that there are many things about this hotel I find a very strong resonance with. There's a nice simplicity, calmness to the space upstairs, no overstuffed furniture and deep pile rugs. Wonderful, I love it. Just the sort of space for this kind of location.
What about making your design? We talk there about the flexibility of design, and I think there are things like basically this idea of design for disassembly, especially in listed buildings. I'm thinking of one in particular, the Skeppsholmen Hotel in Stockholm. Some of you might know. It's a centuries-old building, and the design there has basically been dropped in so that when their lease is up in 50 years' time, they can actually take out everything out of the room. So all the pipe work, all the electricity is all exposed because they were not allowed to actually enter the building.
Yeah.
So very cleverly, this was Klaus and Kovista put together a room which is basically dropped inside a shell. That sort of purpose design for disassembly, isn't that a smart thing to be doing?
Yes.
Isn't that the flexibility of design that allows you to change the design, to change with fashions, to look at Francine's point, to say, hold on, actually, I'm not talking about putting a fresh coat of paint or new carpets, that's a done deal anyway, but to change the way that actually the space might be used, to take the bathroom module out and put a bigger bathroom module in, for example. Isn't that smart design?
It is, yes.
Is that something you're trying to do?
It's something that is in one aspect at the forefront of our mind, not entirely so. Our clients tend to think forever, and we try and design forever. The ability to have a flexible hotel, I think, does apply in the hotel you mentioned in Amsterdam. I'm not sure that could be taken with a broad brush over all the hotels that we do, because they're very different spaces. Some heritage buildings simply won't allow you to do that. We can't do it.
Sure. Looking at the Savoy, I saw an article in which your partner Conrad was speaking, saying that returning guests had said they liked the hotel very much because nothing had actually changed, and Conrad said that this was meant that he felt we'd done the job well done at the hotel.
Yeah.
Now, given the amount of time and money you spent on that project, surely it should have given a far stronger reaction than nothing had changed.
No, we changed everything. But there was no perception of change in the grand old lady that the Savoy was.
Could you elaborate, please?
It looked the same, it felt the same, but it didn't take 38 minutes to fill your bath with hot water. You got it like that. We changed the structure, we changed everything, but the character of the hotel, the ambience of the hotel, when returning guests, and the Savoy had a hugely loyal following, when they walked into the hotel, they just felt,
But was that the right thing to do? Because those returning guests are basically going to be dying out, and that hotel has got, the way you've done it, and the quality there, the materials and the workmanship. That's going to be lasting. That's going to be good for 50 years. You're going to have a very different audience in 10 years' time, let alone in 50 years' time. And so shouldn't you have moved the times rather than keeping this as a museum hotel? Let's have something new, something different. Wasn't that a great opportunity, given the money, given the structural changes you made?
We did. We put proper bathrooms everywhere. But that, and I know we're running out of time, that gives me the opportunity to make 2 points. Firstly, what really pisses me off is that when someone, a reviewer, a client, whatever, walks into a hotel that we've just finished, and it is a conversion or an adaptation, and they look around and they say, well, don't like that. We didn't do it. We were the architects. We enabled the building to work. Go and talk to the interior designer about what they wanted and what they did. We get judged on interiors, which is unfortunate sometimes. And secondly, it's specifically what the client wanted. He said, our brief was, this is what I want. Prince Al-Walid said, I want it to be as it always was, only better and make it work. Which I hope we did.
Just one last question I'd like to ask really is, and particularly here for our suppliers, what's the best way for suppliers to approach Reardon Smith? How can they get on your roster of preferred suppliers?
We don't have such a roster. We don't practice interior design, so any kind of interior elements are largely lost on us. come and talk to us if you think there's a product that you have that would help us in our work, that we should be aware of, wherever it is we're working, and we're working all over the place at the moment. Come and talk to us. I will give you the name of the person in the office that you should address. As I say, largely speaking, interiors products are not on our radar because it's something that we don't become intimately involved with.
But as we'll find out tomorrow with George Elvin's presentation, this idea of nanotechnologies, for example, and wallpapers that basically are luminescent and actually can provide. That's something you need to know as an architect, because I don't need any windows necessarily, or I need much smaller windows because the whole wall is going to be a light, a lamp, and you need to be able to provide the power source for that. So there are certain things I would suggest that you do need to know about from the interiors point of view, because you need to get the architecture right in the first place.
Then educate me.
There you go. There's a challenge for everybody. I'll take one question or wrap up. 3, 2, 1, gone. Thank you very much indeed. Please say thanks to Patrick.